Welcome to the Better Business, Better Life show. I'm your podcast host, Debra Chantry-Taylor. In this podcast, I interview business owners, EOS implementers, and business experts who share with you their experiences, tips, and tools to help you create not only a better business, but also a better life. At the end of each show, you will have 3 tips or tools that our guests share that you can implement immediately into your life. If you want more information or want to get in contact, you can visit my website, debra.coach. That's DEBRA.coach. Please enjoy the show. And today I am joined by Matt Shoup, and I've been really careful to make sure I get that right, otherwise it's going to make me sing on this podcast. Matt is a guy that is just trying to make the world a better place, is what I learned from just having a quick chat to him. He's a business owner, he's an author, he's a speaker, he runs a jiu-jitsu center, he's got all these things going on, but really he's just about making the world a better place. So welcome to the show, Matt.
Debra, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to connect with you today.
Yeah, same here. I'm looking forward to you sharing your story with our listeners. We had a little chat as we always do beforehand, and there's a few stories in there, isn't there? So let's hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast of the United States in New Jersey till I was 10, and then my family moved out to Colorado, and I just remember being a troublemaker as a kid. Was really brilliant in school, and they couldn't keep me busy enough, and I got kicked out of a lot of things. I got told actually to sit down and shut up and stop talking. So it's just fun that I get to talk and speak, and that's part of my profession. So
I think we're kindred spirits. I think I'm the New Zealand female version of you because I did
troublemaker.
The same thing at
I
school.
love it.
Absolutely.
So
but also super smart, and that was the problem. I think it's I was bored. Yeah.
I was bored, and that typical sit down, shut up school environment, do what you're told. I just didn't connect with that. And nobody ever came along and saw man, this kid's creative. He's got an entrepreneurial spirit. And I found out really quickly that I did. We moved to Colorado, and I asked my parents for $200 to buy a big boom box. If you remember those big, CD players, the double cassette, and all my friends, their parents were just buying them for them. And they're like, "Nah, you got to go find a way to make your own money. Listen, you cut our grass for $4 a week. So you can wait 50 weeks, do the math." I go, "Yep, I do the math." I go, "That's too long. How about I go cut some other neighbor's grass?" And my parents let me take the lawnmower. So my first business, it's unofficial, was cutting grass. And then in the winter in Colorado, shoveling snow. And then I would go peddle candy bars and soda out of my middle school locker. But that gave me such a feeling of accomplishment and certainty and identity and just feeling good. One of the things I went through growing up was a lot of bullying. So I was never confident in a lot of spaces. I'm great at school, but then I'm in trouble for doing it too fast. And then I'm getting beat up on the playground. But man, you give me something to sell, and I'm selling it. So I made that money, bought that boombox. And leading into college, I worked with a college painting company all 4 years of college, and learned all about residential paint contracting and made a bunch of money doing it. And then I spent all of that money, and then I spent more than that. So I graduate college in debt. I did a semester in Spain for a study abroad semester, fell in love with the country. And then I came back and I fell in love with my now wife, Emily. Met her in the basement of a bar on salsa night or salsa dancing. That all leads to this really critical moment for me. I leave the painting business after college because it's not sexy, right? It's blue collar, it's dirty, it's seasonal, it's in the summer. And the optics of it weren't great for me. I want to go do something, suit and tie, business guy, Matt. So I'm in a bank, in my mortgage Matt tie. And I just hate, Debra, I hate life every day. They're telling me what to do. It's like school all over again with all these rules and all these things. And I said, hey, let me be creative in how I reach out to these people. And they're like, nope, you got to do it this way. So I knew that I'd be leaving, come home every day, tell Emily just how much I was just not enjoying this. And I'm plotting my escape, right? So just, coming into the bank office one Tuesday morning, and they brought in a new leadership. They brought in a new president. And he calls me into his office. I'm like, cool, I get to meet the new president. Maybe I can share some of my creative ideas, right? So literally, I remember this like it was yesterday, right? This is 20 years ago. I walk in, I stick out my hand to shake it. I'm standing at his desk, and he's, sitting here in his banker's desk, big table, and he doesn't stick his hand out. And I go, hey, nice to meet you. And he said, go get all your shit, put it in a box, you're fired.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm a little fiery, wild 22 year old. I go, what are you talking about? He said, you heard me. I didn't stutter. Go get it. You're done. And then this is what was really interesting is he cinches up the tie and he's like, maybe you should go back and do that painting thing, in a very condescending tone. He's like, go be a dirty painter. I'm like, all right. So I grabbed my stuff, put it in the box. I flew the double single finger salute to him. And I walked out of that bank and I remember standing there. I remember the sun beating down on my face and I'm like, holy cow, I don't have money coming in. I can go do whatever I want, which was great. And I hated this place. So I'm like, that's great, but this isn't great. I got no money, but I can go do whatever I want. But now I got to go tell my wife. So I'm battling and I'm like, man, I got 12 minutes to drive home and tell Emily what happened and jump in the car. And as I closed that door, I remember stepping in the parking lot into the car, closing the door. I'm never working for somebody again. Just never going to do it. And I get to go do this business thing. Like I know that's what like God put in me. That's how I'm wired. That's how I'm built. And I said, but what do I do? All I know how to do is paint houses. I don't really like painting houses, but I know how to do it. So I call a couple of the painters on the way home from college painting. And I said, hey guys, in about a month, if you want, we're going to be really busy. And one of the guys is like, oh, did you get fired from the bank? I told you that wasn't going to work out. And then I come home and it was an early lunch. Emily's like, why are you home so early? And I said, I got let go. And it was a shock. But I remember the question. She said, what are you going to do about it? That was it. And I told her, I said, we're going to start a painting company. She says, okay. And she said, I've got your back. And she was working an hourly part-time job at that point. And I said, you just watch. We're going to get this thing going so big that you're going to be able to quit this job. I'll probably need you in the business. But her goal was to stay at home with kids and raise the kids back then. So that's what we did. I took my last $100 and went and bought some crooked cut business cards at Kinko's. And I just went out like I did when I was 10. I knocked on doors. I beat the street. And we built a multi-million-dollar company in 5 years. I mean, it was awesome. Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Interested in sort of, what did you learn the most about running your own business through that journey?
That it's a roller coaster of ups and downs. And I think now, right, 2023, back in 2005, we didn't have that social media where, everything looks sexy, everything looks glamorous. You see all of the Instagram reels of the entrepreneurs and the fun peak of the roller coaster, right? Like those are there. Those are great. Had many of them, but then it's just hard. There are times when you are at the bottom of that thing. You're in the mud, you're in the crap, you're in the junk, and you want to give up and you don't know what to do. And it's confusing and it's scary. And I've just enjoyed or learned to just enjoy riding that roller coaster and understand that some people will never understand it. And you've got to connect with other people that are in that space and understand it. And then understanding where you are in that journey and asking for help when you're down here, not getting too much ego and excitement when you're up here, because it can change,
Yes.
And then the other biggest lesson was putting people over profits. I was young. I was a young, aggressive. I was a jerk to work for. I was X's and O's, dollars and cents. If you work for me, you better be working, and I'm cracking that whip and you're just a cog in my wheel. So I learned a lot about leadership and people and figuring out where I needed to be a better person so I could make other people better. Because I wasn't in the early days. Like I wouldn't have been on your podcast in 2005. You wouldn't want to talk to me.
You're a bit of a dick, were you? Okay, fair enough.
A dick? Yeah, no, I was a jerk. Yeah, I was a dick. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, you can say it.
No, that's fine. So that's a really interesting lesson, though, isn't it? Because I find it fascinating that you told me that the guy at the bank was a bit of a dick to you too, right? He didn't really treat you with respect. Yeah. And then you went out into your own business and almost kind of recreated some of the stuff that you perhaps didn't like at the bank.
I did. I ended up being the guy that I totally despised. And, I think for me, that was a product of, the environment that I grew up in, because in my early days of being bullied and really needing to figure out like money on my own. I was really driven by a sense of, I was talking to somebody about this the other day of, your net worth is not your self-worth. And, I was kind of having that wired into me as a young kid. So, I'm like, hey, the more I strive, the more I work, the more money I make, the more people are going to accept me. Right. And I didn't know how to do it. And that's all I focused on. And, another big lesson, which I'd love to talk about, because I think this is really circles around what you do, is your business will only be as healthy as you are personally. And I think it is super important for entrepreneurs to understand their story. Like if they need help, professional help, counseling, masterminds, coaching, like that stuff is huge. And that was a big part of my life that really transitioned me into a better space in business.
Cool. So was there a particular point? Was there something that happened that made you kind of go, whoa, hold on a second, this isn't quite working the way I thought it would?
So it was always the little things would happen. So I'm like, why do we have a revolving door in business? How come everybody else doesn't want to work as hard as me? Why is this person's problem this problem? Making it so is everybody else. So I'm working with a coach. I was part of Entrepreneurs Organization for a number of years, EO, and they brought in a speaker. He was an ex West Point graduate, just big guy, right in your face kind of coach. And, he did a lot of NLP type of coaching, and I ended up working with him. Our team did, and then I did individually. And I was just, getting into one of my programs again one day about how it's everybody else's fault. And I'm very aggressive, and people will tend to shut down when I do that. But he got right back in my face and he said, listen, man, he goes, all I hear you saying is that you're the common denominator of the problem. So he goes, maybe you're the problem, maybe you're the jerk. He goes, did you ever think about that? And that was a big wake up call. So that moment really made me reflect on all of these little situations where I just didn't know how to treat people based on where I came from and kind of how I was treated. So and then he goes, here's what I would suggest, and he made some suggestions, and I remember going back to the team that next day and just saying, hey guys, I've made this realization. I was called out. And I'm really considering what business is going to look like if we keep doing it this way, and it's not good. And I'm sorry. So moving forward, I'm committing to change. I call that the 3 C's of changing your story. It's part of the Painted Baby book. And then from there, I just went on this fun and amazing journey of personal development, coaching, therapy, masterminds, more coaching, and then pulling everybody in the company into these things too, and doing it together. And it was amazing.
I must admit, EO was kind of pivotal in my entrepreneurial career as well. I think that having those peers around you and being challenged on things, and of course, EO has a very, very similar philosophy around. Actually, it's not just about business; it's about business and life, and how do you make sure you look after you as a whole person. And I always sort of say that you've got to have a personal coach, you've got to have a peer group, which is your EOs or your tech or your Vistages, and then you've got to have, in my opinion, an operating system for your business as well, so that you know how your business is going to operate.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to the Painted Baby thing, because I'm going to tell my little story about that as well. But in terms of how did you even get involved with the EO, and why did you get involved with EO?
Yeah, the first introduction I had to EO, I was in college painting, and the VP of the state of Colorado, because Colorado was $1 million division, he was able to join EO, and he took all of the college students to an event. And that was the first time I heard about it. And it was like, hey, this is for $1 million business owners, and there's great networking, great learning, great speakers. And we met a guy that owned a bunch of companies and was just talking about that. He was probably 35, 40. And on that day, I just remember, I want to run $1 million business someday. So I remember 3 years into the painting company, I reached out to EO, I think it was 2007. And then they're like, no, you got to do it 2 years in a row. I don't know if you remember that, but they go, you got to do it consecutive years. So then 2008 was when I jumped in there.
Excellent. Okay, good. So, Painted Baby. So this is an interest. This is a complete segue of sorts. So you have written a book called Painted Baby.
Yes.
And I was just talking to a colleague before I came on the podcast saying, I'm about to go and meet with this Matt guy. I got your name wrong, by the way. But anyway, and I said, he's got this book called Painted Babies. I said Painted Babies. So he Googled Painted Babies. And when you Google Painted Babies, something completely different comes up.
Yeah, not my book.
No, not your book at all. So it was like, okay, maybe I've got that wrong. So I had to go back and look. So that's Painted Baby, and I had a look at it.
Yes.
But so this book is not about little girls who get dolled up and go and do pageants. This is
No,
something completely
no.
different, right? So tell us what the book is about.
Yeah, the premise of the book is that in life, leadership, and business, we paint a picture of perfection, and that prevents true connection with people. And I learned that in business. I'm sitting at a sales appointment in 2011. I'm about to close the biggest contract of my life. It's 20 times the size of a normal contract. And I tell you, Debra, I got really good in college painting and after at sales, right? The old school feature, benefit, objection handling, pre-closing, right? All of that. And I'm Mr. Sales Guy, and I'm going to go close this deal. And it's with a client that I've already done business with. I mean, I know the guy. We've worked for him. So I'm sitting there, with my fancy pen, and I present the contract. I slide it across the table. I drop the pen, and I'm waiting. I'm quiet, and I'm waiting for him to sign. Right? It's just
Yep.
And he pushes it back because I'm
textbook sales.
Yeah,
Yep.
textbook sales,
Yeah.
right? A+, 5-star, everything. And he sends it back to me. He's like, "No, not ready to do this. This is really weird," because he's a very decisive guy. So let me try the either or close. So I'm trying my different close techniques, and he just keeps sending it back. And I go, what's going on? This is weird. This is kind of off. And we're back and forthing. And he goes, you know what? He picks up this marketing brochure that I gave him. I said, look, I've got Better Business Bureau, A+ reviews. I mean, look, your job is right here on page 7. Like, look how, the work is great. It's always perfect. And he's like, cut the crap, Matt. This house you're about to go do work for, it's my second home. It's my $1 million baby. It's a vacation home for him. The guy's very well off, very self-made guy. And he picks this marketing brochure up. He says, this thing's crap. And you know it. And he throws it across his office. He said, tell me about a time that you screwed up and what you did about it. And I had never been asked that question as a salesperson or a business owner before. So I go to the memory bank and I shared a couple of stories of, we painted the wrong color on a house once. The paint store mixed up the paint. He's like, that's not a big deal. He goes, that happens all the time, I'm sure. And it did. And I said, well, we painted the right color once, but we painted it on the wrong house. And he kind of leans in. He's like, you painted the wrong house? I said, yep, we accidentally sent our crew to a house and mixed up the streets and the addresses. And we did. We literally prepped an entire house that we weren't supposed to. But when I shared that mistake, he leans in and he was hooked and he was engaged. And I was like, I'm onto something right now. I went a little bit bigger, a little bit more vulnerable. And I just want to close the sale, right? I'm young. I'm still young into my business. And he's like, still not good enough. And I said, Bill, what else do you want from me? What else can I tell you? And he just goes, I feel like you've got something better. And I said, fine, I got one for you. I've never told it. And I can't believe I'm about to do this. I said, we painted a baby, okay? But if I tell you about it, you have to sign the contract. And I'm still just knucklehead, old school closing guy, right? And he leans back. He's like, well, tell me the story. And what happened was this. A paint job takes about 3 days to do typically. And on the last day, we typically will spray with our paint spray gun any metal doors, garage doors, entry doors to the home. And we're working on this home in Windsor, Colorado. Wonderful family. There's a mom. She has a 9-month-old baby. She would come out every day to greet the painters, bring them drinks, bring them snacks. Oh, that's beautiful. I love how the paint job's coming together. And we're literally almost buckled up and finished up with this job. And I'm not on the job site. I'm 20 minutes away doing a bank deposit. And my phone rings and it starts ringing and it keeps ringing and I'm shutting it off and putting it in my pocket. And I come out of the bank. I missed about 10 calls from my painter. His name's Raul. I'm like, I better call him back really quick. And I call him back. He is screaming on the other end of the line. So I hear Raul, who speaks both English and Spanish. He's, Mateo, come quick. Oh my gosh, you finally answer the phone. And then I hear a woman screaming and a baby crying. And he's like, Mateo, the paint and the boom and the baby, I don't know, come quick. I paint the baby. And he hangs up the phone. He hangs up the phone. And I'm laughing now. Yeah, I'm laughing now, but I'm like, what just happened? What does beep, 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 everything. So I jump in the car. I never drove so fast from one town to another. And I pull up and his brother, Bloss, is standing at the truck, just folding up drop cloths covered in black semi-gloss paint. There's a trail of paint going up the driveway through the back gate. And I come in and I just follow the trail. And Raul's down on his hands and knees. He's scrubbing paint off of the flagstone. It's in the grass, the fence, barbecue grill, the deck, and it splattered all over the door he was supposed to paint. So he's literally about to pull the trigger of a spray gun. And we had this 1 in a million jam where the gun jammed, but then there was also a little fitting that was just off kilter. And when he pulled that trigger, the pressure came through, paint exploded everywhere. And mama's standing right there with baby, right behind, right behind. So yeah, we painted a baby. So I'm back to this sales appointment. Now I'm back with Bill, and he's just like, what? So what happened? He's hooked. He's wanting to know about the drama and the plight. And I've built up this story and the mom and the baby and Bloss and Raul, and he wanted to know what happened. So I told him what happened. I mean, we took ownership of it. We had to clean up. We had to make sure the baby was okay. And the baby was okay.
How was the baby? Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. Yeah. So I'll go right here. So no babies were harmed in the making of the book or the story. It just, the paint didn't get, the baby's eyes or anything like that. But got everywhere. So what I let Bill know is like, listen, we handled it. That was a bad moment. This is what we did. And if this was to happen on your job, this is what we would do. And you could see, the interest in the story turn to this, internal, he's putting himself there, and he goes, okay, I can deal with that. And, I said, so Bill, that's what I got for you. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm all out of closes. I'm all out of everything. I love you. I've done business with you for a long time, and you just let me know what you want to do. I'm just stumped. And he says, boom, sticks the hand out. You're the kind of guy I want to do business with. Like, that's the kind of guy that I was waiting to have show up. And I realized in that moment that I had never done that. It was always the shiny marketing brochure. And he really made me realize that. Yeah. And that's important, right? Like, you want to have that. You want to have credentials. But there is a way where humans connect when one person decides to go first and be vulnerable and say, here's where I look all polished and great, but man, I just had a really bad incident happen. And this is where my integrity was on the line. If I say I'm an honest company and I'm going to do the right thing, but I've never been given an opportunity to not do the right thing, then it doesn't show that with a 5-star review. If I say, hey, if we screw something up, we're going to fix it. We had thousands of dollars of screw up sitting right there on that job site. And we did. So yeah, that was a wake up call for me. And then I decided to go out. I said, you know what, there's something going on here. I'm going to go share this story in sales appointments. And then we taught the team how to do it. And then we did a big marketing campaign. And then that's my daughter on the cover of the book. We brought her in, threw paint all over her, and marketed painted baby all over town. And it's a beautiful story of how humans connect, and it challenges and encourages readers to think about how they need to change their story, whether it's personally or professionally, so they can connect with clients, but then also with other people in life at a deeper level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, if you think about it, it's part of the philosophy I have when I'm actually interviewing people as well for jobs, is that you want to know. Of course, I celebrate success. Absolutely, that's a key part of who I am. But I want to know how you handle things when things go wrong. I want to know how you react when you're triggered, when you're under pressure, when all those things are happening. What really happens, and how do you actually behave? So interesting.
Well, and some of my biggest memories in business are just the times when something doesn't go well, something's on the line, and to see everybody come together. And then as the leader, you've got to go first and be in that space where people are going to trust when something happens. COVID was a big thing. When that happened, we had to make some decisions, and there was kind of two options. There was one way to go where a lot of people were going, and we decided to go another route that was the right thing to do and the right way to do it. So, it's been such a fun journey. It's been such a fun journey, and I've loved sharing the message with people.
I'm keen to hear what you did in COVID now, though, of course. So what did you do that was different in COVID?
So, what I saw during COVID is that everybody was making cuts, right? So everybody got scared. Nobody knew what was going on. And I remember we're sitting around the table as a company, and, I'm seeing friends, other business owners that are like, we're just cutting people. We got to protect ourselves and our own. And I'm like, you know what? If anybody's going to cut anything right now, it's going to be me. So I cut my salary down like close to in half to create some more financial runway. Now, luckily, we were a necessary business, so we weren't too affected. But there was a couple-week period right there where we were envisioning just everything crashing and burning, right? Which I think a lot of people were. And I just said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut things down so we can have more runway. We're not cutting anybody. We're going to figure this out. We're going to pivot. We're going to adapt, whatever that looks like. And they sat there and they're like, wow, that's not what just happened to my friend. Or, we had a spouse of a team member who was let go. Same, we have our jiu-jitsu academy at the time. That's in-person close contact. And we told everybody, we called every single member and we said, listen, we can't train together. We are absolutely willing to freeze your membership and just stop paying and we'll figure it out. We had just bought a building. It was crazy. And 80% of those students said, you know what? We want to support you guys. So keep it going. It was a really beautiful thing. But
that's lovely. Oh, okay. So the Painted Baby book is obviously, you talk about sharing vulnerable stories, the connections, the real connections you can make by actually doing that.
Yeah.
But you still have the painting business, you still have the jiu-jitsu, you're still very much doing all that. How do you manage to keep the balance right? Because I think for a lot of us, shall we say, I think it might be adult ADHD, but that sort of high functioning, fast paced, want to do lots of things.
Yeah.
We can get overwhelmed with too much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep that balance right? Because you've obviously got a family, you've got, you've got your business, you've got and now you've got the speaking and the authorship as well.
Yeah. And you hit the nail right on the head. And we're very similar, right? I'm this like ADHD squirrel. I love to start things and launch things. And I do, and I can get bored easily. But one of the big keys I found is, before I'm going from one business to another, is making sure that business is running, that it's got a system, it's got a process, it's got the people in place to be able to do that. Because if you're just, leaving these previous things and you have all these plates spinning, and I still, honestly, to this day, like right now, we have a lot of plates spinning. We have a company that we built up and we're getting ready to sell it right now just because it's not going to keep going the way it should and could with the amount of attention me and my business partner don't have for it right now. So it's making sure you've got the right people, the right systems, and then that's clearly communicated. And then you let those people do their job. Because I don't know about you, but I go, hey, here's your job, I'm leaving. And then I swoop in, I'm like, hey, how's it going over here? We doing okay? So
yeah. It's basically, as you know, it's part of the work that I do, right? So it's really about helping people get really clear on the vision in terms of what they want from it, who they exist for, all those things, all those wonderful things around why we exist, who we exist for, what we're doing. And then, it's the letting go that's the hard part, because I remember when I ran the event center, I was very much, I wrote lots of processes. I kind of, employed people to do certain things, and then I just couldn't stop dabbling. And I think if you keep dabbling and keep coming back in, you're not actually allowing it to become a sustainable business where it can operate without you. And I think I was very guilty of we talk about delegate and elevate, which is very much about, delegate the things that are not your God-given unique talent, elevate yourself to the stuff that really adds most value. But it's really, really hard to let go, because some of these things you may not like, but you're reasonably good at. And so nobody will ever be as good as you will be. And it took a lot of time to learn that actually you can't just delegate and not help people, but you have to let them own it, have accountability for it, and talk to them about what you expect from them, but then let them get on with it.
It's so true. And the two big things that I struggled with, and I think this was more at the first level, is like, I love the sales. So I said, nobody can outsell me. So I train a salesperson. Like, I hated the painting, so that was easy to step out of. I'm not good at it, actually. But I would always be grinding on these sales guys, and salespeople. And then we're at a point now to where they outsell me. They sell more, they sell better. And I think that's a great thing. But the other thing for me is I love the people so much in the business. I love the way that we get to support families, make people's lives better. So then when I'm, stepping into something else and just not spending as much time with them, I feel like I'm almost leaving them in a way. And this is just more of a personal thing that I internally struggle with, right? It's not necessarily my perception always being true, but I think entrepreneurs experience that. It's like their baby, they can't let go. And there's those people, they're like, we're a family here. We're a close-knit group, and we've got each other's backs. I mean, I've seen people, married here, divorced here, kids here, losing family members, all kinds of life events, and you got to be there for people.
So I'm going to explore a little bit further. You just mentioned, because the sales, I can see that was absolutely your passion. That was, that's what, in fact, that's really what got you into your own business and what has probably built it up to where it is today. You've now got salespeople outsell you. What was the key to being able to let go, and how did you, as a leader, enable them to actually grow into that role and do the right, do the right thing?
It was, for me, the idea of coaching them and teaching them and then letting them fail. I think that's the biggest thing, and not doing it for them. Because, say you've got a salesperson and you want to train the salesperson and step out, let them just watch you do 10 appointments and then go do 10 appointments together. And then the hardest part, this was always the hardest part for me, it's phase 3. And I go, you're ready for phase 3. Okay. Is you're going to do them. I'm just going to sit there and observe and not say anything. And then I'm watching, I think this thing's going the other way. And then I jump in, right? So really letting people fail, and letting people make the decision, make the call based on whatever processes and protocols and company values, all the guiding lights. And that person makes that decision, and say it's the wrong decision, and say you lose money, say you miss the sale. What you first do is you say, good job, Kevin, Jim, Kathleen, whoever that is, Stephen. You made the decision. Yeah, but it's not the right decision. But they're seeing you as the leader, being proud of them for that. And then they go, well, that didn't go the way we wanted it to. No, it didn't. So let's talk about that separately, but just celebrating when they make those decisions versus you're swooping in, and then whenever there is the decision to be made, they're calling you and you're the bottleneck. So I always gauge that feeling of ability to do that is, when I'm getting emails or text messages or calls of, hey, what do you think? Or, hey, I've got that. Nope, I don't have that anymore. It doesn't matter what I think. It's your decision. And I would get those all the time. The decision can never be made.
So it's giving them true accountability and actually allowing them to really run with it. And it's interesting because when I'm doing my coaching, it's really difficult sometimes because you so desperately want these businesses to succeed, and you know that they're making a decision that you don't feel is right based on your years of experience. I could be wrong, but you don't feel that it's right, and you want to jump in, you want to rescue them, want to save them. But the best thing you can do is just allow them to get on with it, and you can question and challenge and see that they're making the right decision, that they feel is the right decision, but you've got to let them actually go through it, and then you've got the opportunity to learn, right? What's working, what's not working, how can we do things differently, what can we do better next time round? And that's where they improve.
And then they'll surprise you, because sometimes you're sitting there thinking, oh, they're not making the right decision, and they're actually making a better decision than you would have made, and the company does one of these from it. So and it's a hard thing. There's the emotion, there's everything going on, there's the experience, and just that human condition, within business.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Gosh, there's so much we could cover off here. I'm really interested. What's the thing you're most proud of? I usually ask this at the beginning. We're going to ask it now. What's the thing that you're most proud of in your life so far?
It's raising amazing kids. I think it's I do all this for my family. I mean, this is why I get up and do everything that I do every day, and it's really cool. I've got a 15-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter, and for me, when they're out in the world, whatever they're doing in the world, when you hear other people, that come up to me, they come up to my wife Emily, and they're like, "Those are great kids. You guys did a really good job." Right? Just because I see so many entrepreneurs, right? And this is huge. What you talk about, it's like, hey, you built a $50 million business, and you don't have a relationship with your kid. They don't even know who you are because you're never there, and you're stressed out, or they get the worst side of you or part of you. They get the burned out part of you, if anything. And I've always put my kids and my family in a position where I'm going to be there for them. I'm not going to miss sports events. We travel together. We do a father-son, father-daughter trip to Spain every year. And they're at a point now where they want to be around friends less than they want to be around mom and dad. So, I mean, I'm at this point where they're about to be close to getting out of the nest. And I do not regret any of that for 1 minute. Like, I could have made more money, could have had more money, but we don't get to take any of that stuff with us.
No, that's absolutely
Yeah.
right. And I'm sure your kids will be very grateful to you as they get older as well for that opportunity to have time with mum and dad and I think, instilling the values and sharing with them. So tell us a little about your love of Spain. So you've talked about taking the family there. Obviously, you speak both Spanish and English. You spent a lot of time over there. What was it about Spain that you fell in love with?
It was funny. So I started studying Spanish in high school. I was really good at it. And then I ended up doing some translating at a local elementary school for parent-teacher conferences for Spanish-speaking families. So when I go to college, when I'm at Colorado State, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I said, I almost have enough credits to do a Spanish minor. So let's just do a Spanish minor. I'm in a Spanish culture class, and my professor, her name's Maria Del Mar. She's from southwest Spain, the city of Cadiz, and just amazing lady. We're in Spanish culture class. She's teaching us about the history and the literature and the architecture, and every day, literally, the end of class, she would say, "Hey, have you thought about study abroad? Have you thought about going to Spain?" She didn't do this to anybody else. Like, she generally mentioned it, but she'd pull me aside and harass me. And after a couple of weeks, she's like, "What are you going to do next semester?" I said, "I'll work for the college painters, I guess." But I just decided, you know what? I go, let's do this. I was ready for a change, ready for an escape. And I signed up in October to literally within a couple of months, right at the turn of the year, I flew over and spent 5 months in Spain, right outside Madrid. And I was 20 years old and very impressionable time in my life. And I mean, I just literally fell in love. Took me about a month because it was a difficult month. There's a roller coaster there as a foreign study abroad student, but I didn't want to come home. I mean, everything, the culture, the language, the people, the food, the coffee. And I said when I left, I go, I'm going to come back here one day. And then I traveled back with my wife shortly after we got married. And then we come back with the kids every year. And now I get to take business leaders on leadership adventures. We just hiked part of the Camino just a couple of weeks ago, with a group of business owners, business leaders, and we're doing a big adventure immersion experience in 2024. So it's just a huge part of my life. It's got a piece of my heart, and I've got so many relationships with people that I never would have met, and just so many opportunities and experiences and memories, especially with the family and the kids, that will just be there forever.
Yeah. I must admit, I'm hugely grateful to my parents. My mum was German, my dad was English, and they encouraged us to have pen friends and to travel. I was brought up in the UK and grew up in sort of Cyprus and then moved over to the UK. And we were encouraged to have pen friends and to visit various people. So we always traveled. Like a lot of my friends in Britain never left the UK. They would, they never went anywhere, but we were encouraged to go. And on the cheap, we did it camping wise. It was all, but it was so great because I think what it's done is it just broadens your horizons. It gives you a different perspective on things. And I think it makes you less scared of stuff as well. Like I don't ever have any fear of going somewhere new. I kind of go, okay, that'll be really cool because I know I'll learn about new cultures, new foods, new architecture, new whatever it might be. And that is a great thing to have. Yeah.
And being, you're in this new environment and it's uncomfortable and you're trying to figure things out. And then just I'm very fluent in Spanish now, but not at the beginning. And I made some really classic, embarrassing mistakes. I have a fun one if we have time. But
yes,
just, being lost in a city that you've never been to at 3 a.m. and, you don't have a phone and you've got to find your way back. It was fun times. I mean, we've stayed in some crazy cheap, like $10 a night hostels. I mean, we stayed in some scary places. It would have been better sleeping on the street or the beach,
Yeah, no, that's cool. And so you're doing these retreats and things there now. So I mean, the Camino thing is obviously quite fascinating. But what are the retreats about? What's the purpose of them? Why do you do them?
Yeah, so the purpose is so my 3 life's biggest passions are pouring into people, right? Just with leadership in their life and making people better. And Spain. Like, I love Spain and I love sharing the culture. Like, we have a little free coffee bar downstairs and I'm about 6 of these in today. And I want to share that with people and teach them about leadership in really unique ways. So we did a pilot, something called the Ultimate Immersion Experience. I took my leadership team there in 2022 and we spent a week doing these very intentionally curated challenges, experiences, and adventures. So think about, it's not like an Apple Tours vacation where there's 30 people in the flags and you're on the tour bus. These are people I know that I've got really deep relationships with, showing us pieces and parts of Spain that other people won't get to see, experiencing just amazing food. And then we're doing these amazing race style challenges. So I took my entire team, I dropped them in another country. They've never been there. And I go, okay, guys, here's an envelope. Open it up. There's a clue. There's a couple euro in there. And I'll see you in 3 hours. Ready, go. Boom. And they had a challenge. And I teamed everybody up, and then I went and had a coffee with my buddy Angel, and we just sat there, and we're like, no one's gonna die. Hope they all get back, but we had safeguards in place. And then when they came back and got to talk about these really uncomfortable, fun, exciting experiences that they did, it showed them what they were made of. It showed them what happened when the stress came on and how they worked together, where they weren't great at things, where they were scared to death of things. And they learned a lot. And then we would just fellowship at the end of the day over, a 3-hour dinner going till midnight, 1 a.m, just praising and recognizing those things in other people. So we're doing that again in 2024. And then the Camino hike is more to take people that are busy, they're successful, but they can't unplug, they can't disconnect. And we literally walk 72 miles over 6 days. So 115 kilometers, and their phones are off. There's no service. And we're walking and we're talking, and there's themes and challenges each day. And I just love it. We just got back with a group, and that's called Hike of a Lifetime. And all of them said, you really undersold this. This really was an experience and a hike of a lifetime. So that's something I'm just super, super pumped to continue doing. We're going to do what's on my heart right now is like a father-son Camino adventure for business owners who are fathers with their sons. That's something that's really important to me, is that father-child dynamic. So we're looking to do that for 2025.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. I've just got a friend who's just been over there and been following him on his videos each day, Glenn Marvin. And it looks like an amazing walk, and staying in the monasteries and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more things about the whole Spain thing. So first of all, you said you had 6 coffees. I hope you're drinking proper coffee, as in like an espresso, as opposed to...
It's cafe con leche. So it's a couple shots of really amazing espresso and some steamed milk. So I tell people it's more than a cortado, a lot less milk than a latte. Just a perfect combination. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm a short black girl, but I just think life's too short for shitty coffee. And one of the things I have to say I did not like about the US was the coffee. The filtered coffee with bucket loads of milk doesn't make any sense to me. But that's just
my first experience drinking coffee. So I'm sitting with my host dad, and he pulls out a cup, and I take the cafetera. It's the espresso boiler, and I pour it in American style. He's like, whoa, Mateo, stop, don't do that. And I said, no, I got it. I'm an American. I know what I'm doing. And then I did a little bit of milk, and he goes, you don't want to drink it that way. And he goes, okay. So I drank this, and it hit me. It hit me hard. Yeah. It hit me fast. And he's like, this is how you drink coffee. Let me show you.
Beautiful. So tell us now about the Spanish mistake. That's the one I want to hear about.
All right. You asked for it. So you're getting it. So when I was there, my study abroad semester, it was April, and it's hot. It's hot in Spain, in center Spain, Madrid, in April. And there were still certain parts of me that were very uncomfortable. I'm 1.5 feet taller than everybody. I'm getting pretty good at the language, but I was just really homesick. I was really missing something American. And in every plaza in the center of any decently sized Spanish city is a McDonald's. So I knew that I could walk into McDonald's, and they had the 50-cent ice cream cones, and it would just take me back home. So, I'm a little sad, a little homesick. I walk into this McDonald's, I walk up, I'm 20, I'm single, very attractive, about 20-year-old Spanish gal there. And she says, dime, tell me what you want. So I go to order an ice cream cone, which in Spanish, it's a cono. So cone of ice cream. You order a cono de helado. So I walk up, and Spanish has the interesting little squiggly line that goes over the end, and it actually changes the letter, which will change the word. So Español has the ña, the little squiggly makes a ña. So instead of ordering a cono de helado, I ordered a coño de helado. So she said, tell me what you want. I said, coño de helado. And she's like, oh. She goes, sir, caballero, sir. She goes, I can't give you that. And I immediately recognized what I did. And I ordered an ice cream vagina. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, is this guy trying to like flirt with me? She goes, no, just a big, dumb, tall, pasty American. And then she spins back around. She goes, I know what you want. She gets me the ice cream cone. And then she's like, for here to go. She goes, the other one cost you more than 50 cents. And like sends me on my way. And that was just, it's a little change in the language, right? This is like leadership. You think of like personality styles, just a little change, a little squiggly line, like that changed the engagement, the conversation. And we got to watch out for those things. But yeah, that's my most embarrassing screw up in Spanish. And,
that's awesome. I have a similar story myself in France because I speak French and German, but not particularly well, I might add, and certainly haven't used it for a long time. And I remember when I first went to France, I'd been doing French lessons at school forever and thought I was really, really good. And you know, you can say thank you very much, it's merci beaucoup. But if you actually say merci beaucoup, it actually means thank you, beautiful bottom.
Hey.
So yeah. So you've got to be a little bit careful about that.
Watch the intonation.
Just a slight change in intonation can actually make it. And this is one of my things about business. I think that we're losing the art of having like, you know, face-to-face conversations. And when you look at things like email and text messages, they can be really easily misunderstood because you haven't got that the context, if you like, in terms of, you know, language is fascinating, as we've just found out. It can mean very, very different things. And I think that we're going to be very careful that we don't try and replace what is really good communication with things like email and text because it's easy. Because we do it because it's easy, right? It's easy. It's easier for me to send you an email than it is to have a conversation.
It's fast, but I've had so many missed messages when you're doing it too fast, and you don't have that.
Agree. Yeah. Good examples there. Okay, right. We could probably talk all day, but we need to kind of wrap this up. Give me your 3 top tips or tools. What are the 3 things that you would share with the listeners they could go out and do something with?
Yeah, in business especially, like remember that we do this for our family. Obviously, we need to provide, but you don't get to take any of this stuff with you. So just remember when you're in business that you have an opportunity to impact lives and to make lives better for people and just put people over profit. Second thing, and this is a big thing, just looking back at 20 years of growing the businesses that we have, is things take time and good things take time and they don't happen overnight. And the more and more I see culture and society progress, especially with social, is you see all of this stuff where it just looks like the quick fix, you know, it's get rich quick doing whatever, and it doesn't work that way. So don't let those things fool you. And then get a mentor. Find somebody that has been there, that has done that you can really sit down and shoot straight with and be real with. And you know, especially I'll tie in kind of a fourth, but part of getting a mentor is ask for help when you need it. And be okay standing in front of your team as the leader saying, I don't know the answer to this question. I think we feel like we always have to have the answer all the time. And you're not always going to. And it's totally okay to ask for help.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of the things I talk about. Okay, so people over profit, good things do take time, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Get yourself somebody who's been there, done that, who can actually help you. And be honest with you, I think, as well, is have those difficult conversations that maybe your team might not feel quite so comfortable having with you. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Now, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, Matt, either about the Painted Baby book or about the Camino, the different retreats and things that you run, how would they do that? Yeah, just go to my website, mattshoup.com. I would suggest just grab the free tools, and then I'm sending everybody, I'll send you a big packet and a bucket of free tools to make life and leadership better. And then I send out emails about when these adventures are coming up. Oh, that is fantastic. Hey, look, I've really enjoyed meeting with you. I said I think we've got a lot. Just listening to some of your stories, we've got a lot of things in common. We do. But I think we've also shared the same passion. So I suppose the passion is, for me, it's about, you know, life is too short. You've got to be doing what you love with people you love, making a big difference. But most importantly, with time to pursue other passions, because, you know, your family is one of the most important things. You need to make sure that you're looking after yourself. So I love meeting a kindred soul. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably. Appreciate it. Stay out of trouble, because I know you're a troublemaker just like me. I'm getting better as I get older, but I'm not definitely not 100%. A little bit of trouble's okay. A little bit of trouble's all right. I like to call it adventures these days.
We'll call it that. I like it.
Yeah, actually, it was really interesting. Just a very, very quick thing. We don't have any children as such, my husband and I, but we have two fur babies, two little mini schnauzers. And I travel a fair bit with work, and my husband always comes to the airport. And I said to him one time, he used to wait in the car and say, I really want you to come and meet me at the actual arrivals. It makes me feel wanted. It makes me feel special. So he started doing that. It was really cool. But the last time round, he decided to bring the two mini schnauzers into the airport to meet with me, which was brilliant because I got out of there and these schnauzers are just so excited to see mummy who hasn't been home for a week, and my husband was excited, so they were all wagging their bottoms and getting very excited. But of course, we kind of knew, but we'd ignored it. You're not meant to have dogs in the airport in New Zealand.
Okay.
So as everybody in the airport's fawning over these schnauzers, I'm having a lovely time because my schnauzers are there getting all excited about me, Apollo and Hermes. And then all of a sudden the security guard comes over and it's like, what are you doing with dogs in the airport? And we were in massive trouble. We managed to look very sheepish and get out of it. But nevertheless, it was, yeah. And so we're still getting into trouble in our mid-50s, but now we just call it an adventure. It was another adventure. We took it, we put it on the bucket list. Yep, we've done that now.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate the time and you having me on, and we'll come back. I feel like we could talk a lot more. So yeah, we'll come back for round two. We'll do another episode.
Definitely.
All right.
I would love to do that. And I'm going to read Painted Baby as well. But don't put Painted Babies into Google because you won't find it.
I haven't even Googled that. I don't know, and I'm not going to. I trust you.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Thanks again. I look forward to catching up for round two.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks for listening to the podcast show Better Business, Better Life. My name is Debra Chantry-Taylor. I'm an EOS implementer, family business advisor, business and leadership coach, podcaster, and speaker. However, I'm also a business owner with several current business interests. I'm fortunate to have lived the high life with all the lifestyle, the toys, you name it, and then I've lost it all, not only once, but twice in two spectacular train wrecks. I know what it's like to experience the highs and lows. I came across EOS when they launched into New Zealand using my Entrepreneurs Playground and Event Centre in Parnell, Auckland. I love the simplicity of the tools, and their philosophies fitted my personal brand statement perfectly. The brilliance is in the simplicity. I've always been passionate about seeing entrepreneurs lead a life they love, and now I help them live that EOS life. Doing what they love, with people they love, making a huge difference in the world, being compensated appropriately, and with time to pursue other passions. If you want more information or want to get in contact about using EOS in your business, you can visit my website at debra.coach. That's www.debra.coach. Thanks for listening.